99% of the time it's accurate. And so if we have fear, we have trouble with our faith, with trust, because fear interferes also with our boundaries. And it's really important when we do this work, because it's very sacred, that you have to have the boundaries down here. Because on the other side, they don't know time, they don't know boundaries, they don't know any of that. And so what I do is I set the boundaries before someone comes in that I do a reading for. And I tell the spirit that's going to be coming, this is the time you're going to be allowed to be here. And you must leave at that time. And it's amazing because it does work. I know a lot of people say, oh, I can't get it to. Yes, because they have to honor our boundaries here on the other side. That it's imperative. They can't say no. They can't argue with you. They have to honor the boundaries we set for them. And so when you do this work and you start to do a reading for someone, after you connect, what we do is we ask for a name. We ask for a first name and a last name of who they would like to connect with on the other side. And that spirit is always ready, willing, and able. They've been waiting for the invitation to come through. And so you ask them, are you a male or a female? Are you young or are you old? Are you a relative? Are you a friend? How do you fit in this person's life that's here? Then you ask them, once they give you these answers, and they're going to give them to you, then you ask them, what was your favorite pastime? Because you need to be able to authenticate everything you hear from them for the sitter that is sitting there. If you cannot authenticate it, please don't try to fill in the blanks, because that is the worst thing that you can do. Because then that person is going to leave and they're going to say, this person was not authentic. And you sure don't want that to get out there. And so if you get no answer, that means at this time, you're not supposed to have an answer for the sitter. Then you can ask them, if they're not willing to go there, you can ask them, how did you cross over? And a lot of times they're willing to tell you. Most of the time, if they have been murdered, you do not get an answer, because that's not something they want to discuss. That is in the past, and they don't want to put their families through that type of reliving that again. And because they're very cognizant of the people on this side, very muchly so. Another thing you can ask them is, when did you leave? When did you transition to the other side? And most of the time, they will give you a time frame. And if you ask them what their age is or was, they want you to speak in now time, not past tense. They will tell you, and sometimes it's not actually the time that they transitioned, but it's, excuse me, it's the time that they were proudest of themselves, or that they were happiest with themselves. They will give you that age. And so you can share that information with a sitter, that this may or may not be the time that they transitioned, but this was when they were happiest. And so the sitter will be able to tell you yes or no, because it's important to the spirit on that side as well as the sitter that's here. You can ask them about their job. Did they have more than one job? Were they happy with their jobs? And they will go into detail about that. And some of the other things, you can tell them, ask them, describe your house that you lived in. They'll tell you, well, I love the living room, or I love the den. Why did you love it? Because it had a fireplace. It had a big cozy chair in it. Some will say it's the kitchen, because my mother cooked in there and that's where the family gathered. These are all very relevant things when you do a reading for someone. because it makes no sense to you, but it makes all of the sense in the world to the sitter that is sitting there. And then I am a firm believer, and this is my belief, that people, it isn't that they want closure when they do when you do readings for someone. What I have found doing this for so many years is that they want peace from the party on the other side. They want to know, here we want to know, are they in pain? Were they in pain when they transitioned? Are they happy where they are? And the answer most of the time is always yes. One of the things is that when they transition, that they're sorry to see their loved ones over here in a lot of pain. They don't like seeing that, because even though they're on that side, the soul can still empathize with them here. And that's what's really important. And we're blessed to be able to do this. And I know people say, I can't do that. And I said, yes, you can. Let me ask you a simple question. Were you driving to work today and did you miss a turn? Did you miss one of the turns that you should have turned on? And I had one lady say, well, yes. She said, I wasn't paying attention. And I said, no, you were paying attention, but you were being guided by Spirit. Spirit guides us all. If we're willing to be quiet, if we're willing to listen, and we're willing to love. Because this all boils down to love. We love the person sitting with us, because when we do this work, when someone is sitting there, we as the reader glean as much, if not more, out of reading for the sitter than anyone, if we allow it. And allowing it means you take your brain out that says no, no, no to this, and you leave it at the door, and then you connect with Spirit. And you listen, and you listen. And if you tell Spirit, I only have 45 minutes with this person, in 45 minutes, they're going to pull their energy back. And you will be able to sense it, is what you will be able to do. And that's how you set boundaries for people that's on this side, is what you do. Because like I said, we're the ones that's responsible for those boundaries. And if we sit there and talk for 45 minutes, is it about us or is it about the sitter? It should be about the sitter that comes there for information. And myself, I am of the persuasion, a Reader's Digest condensed version is always better than the Reader's Digest book. Because nobody really wants to sit there for an hour most of the time. And everything that I've heard, everything I've read, and everything I've studied, 30 minutes is a very good time to give people a lot of really good, pertinent information. Because that's what they come for. They don't come for you to give them their whole life scenario, because they know their life scenario. They just want a reading, and they want it to be very clear and very concise, and that's what you do. And that's called your boundaries, and that's you being kind and loving and considerate of the sitter, because they are in pain when they come to see us most of the time. They're not happy, they're sad if they've lost a loved one, and that pain goes on for a long time. It never goes away. It gets a little bit easier, but it never goes away. And they may have a birthday coming up, and that's the hardest for someone who's lost a loved one. Birthdays, holidays, and especially family members that have lost this valuable person. Because all of us are valuable. All of us are. And we need to learn that we're extremely valuable and we're extremely important, because God loves us. He sent us here. Out of all of those billions and billions of sperms, guess who showed up? All of us in this room were blessed to show up. And so we're here for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. That's your job to find out and to figure why you are here. because you're all so special. Everybody is. It doesn't matter if you're a homeless person on the street. It doesn't matter if you're a dog going down the street. They're all special. They need to be treated with a great deal of respect and a great deal of kindness. That's what's very important for all of us. All right. They're telling me to hush. They're telling me to give you some pertinent information in a minute, but they also said, does anybody have a question? Anyone can ask anything. If I haven't covered something, I was trying to condense it, is what I was trying to do. Anthony? I see those big eyes.
Is it cold over there?
No. You think it's cold? I've got a lot of spirits over here, don't I? I do. I would just like to share some information with, first I'd like to say thank you all for at least sitting and listening to me. I greatly appreciate your time. And I want to really thank you for all of the effort that you and Tammy do, because this is a lot of hard work, and I know that. So I really appreciate you. And Spirit appreciates you. Always, they said. I'm going to share some information that where we're going to be. In February the 9th, we're going to be doing a class at the Marriott all day long, myself and 2 other mediums. And also on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday over at the Source, we do what we call a round table. And the round table is, we have a group of people that come in, and each one gets a reading, is what they get. And and the fee is $10 for everyone, and everybody gets a reading. And then also I do a class over there, the opposite Wednesdays of that, and it's the same $10. And then we have something that we call Dinner with the Mediums, and we're at various restaurants in Albuquerque and one in the mountains. Perfect ending.
That's Spirit saying, okay, Jack.
That's it, Spirit. I gotta shut up. I got to shut up. Thank you all of you for sitting and listening.
Do you need to share any more information?
Well, I can if they want here.
Go ahead.
Okay. We're going to be doing a fundraiser benefit for a friend of mine, and the fundraiser is going to be for Birds of a Feather Parrot Rescue, and that is going to be in April sometime.